ACT English sentence structure. 18 questions are on the ACT English portion. An independent clause, complete sentence, has the following: a subject, a predicate, an expression of a complete thought. What is a subject and a predicate? Subjects tell us what the sentence is about. Example, the oversized 18-wheeler truck. ACT scores, Joshua, she. What is a predicate? A predicate tells us about the subject or what the subject is doing. Wove dangerously across the highway. Can be improved through the study and practice. Is the captain of the varsity basketball team. Preferred a quiet day at the beach. What is a phrase or a clause? A phrase is part of a sentence that does not contain a subject or a predicate. A clause is a part of a sentence with a subject and a predicate. A clause may be independent, meaning it expresses a complete thought. A clause may be dependent, meaning it does not express a complete thought and must depend on an independent clause to complete it. Let's look at the example. After school, Larry studied this ACT book and took the practice test. The phrase is, after school. The independent clause, Larry studied this ACT book and took the practice test. What is a modifier? A modifier develops a sentence by using further details about other words in the sentence. Modifiers can be either words, phrases, or clauses. Modifiers can come before or after the words they modify. What is a modifier? Basic sentence. The sun rose. Word modifier. The warm sun rose. The adjective warm modifies the noun sun. The warm sun rose slowly. The adverb slowly modifies the verb rose. Phrase modifiers. The warm sun rose slowly from the east. The adverbial phrase from the east modifies the verb rose. Clause modifier. The warm sun which cast its ray on the river rose slowly from the east. The clause which casts its rays on the river modifies the noun sun. What are run-on sentences and comma splices? A run-on sentence consists of two or more independent clauses with no punctuation or connector, such as a coordinating conjunction, fanboys, with a comma or a semicolon. We headed to the game during the rain, comma, but it stopped before we arrived. We headed to the game during the rain, it stopped before we arrived. A comma splice is like a run-on, except a comma separates the two clauses. The computer is an invaluable tool because it links millions of people together. The computer is an invaluable tool. It links millions of people together. Look at the model ACT question. The sentence is a comma splice, so we must change the sentence, so the answer cannot be A. Choice B is a run-on sentence. In choice D, at the ice cream store for a cone, is not a sentence. C is the answer. Correcting this question means separating the two independent clauses with a period, a semicolon, or a conjunction. What is a sentence fragment? It is a part of a sentence that is written as though it is a sentence and missing the three criteria: a subject, a predicate, an expression of a complete thought. It is also known as a dependent clause or subordinate clause. What is a sentence fragment? Well, an example is a verb phrase. It begins with words such as to jump, to sleep, jumping, sleeping, jumped, and slept. Let's look at the example. I have one goal for this month: to score well on the ACT. There is no subject for the verbal phrase to score well on the ACT. Another example is an appositive, which is a group of nouns or words that describe a noun that are not sentences. I'll go shopping anywhere: malls, department stores, grocery stores, convenience stores, if there is a good sale. The appositives, of course, are malls, department stores, grocery stores, and convenience stores. Is missing a sentence parts are parts. There were some great rides at the amusement park, which was open from 9 to 2300 hours or 11 p.m. Was open from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. or 2300 hours, has no subject. It is a fragment. Look at the example. The dependent clause before going to a party is a sentence fragment. It cannot stand on its own and leaves the reader wondering what happened before the party. B is the correct choice. One with red polka dots is an appositive fragment. It describes the dress but has no subject or verb on its own. It is correlated by joining it to the previous sentence, separated by a comma. J is the correct choice. Misplaced modifiers and shifts in construction. Adjectives and adverbs and groups of words serving as modifiers should refer to the word they modify. Be sure the placement of the modifier makes sense. Moving the modifier closer to the word it modifies to correct such errors. The driver bought a delivery in a red container to the store. The modifier is in a red container. It doesn't make sense for the store to be in a red container. These words must modify delivery, so move them closer to delivery. The driver firmly shifted the van into first gear and left the parking lot. This example is tricky. The word firmly makes sense when it is placed near to shift gears. The modifier firmly should be placed near the word it modifies. Shifted. We must be added to this sentence for it to make sense. The wind was howling and we had to cover under a highway overpass. While we were on vacation in Iowa, a tornado alert was issued. Let's look at the model ACT question. The correct answer is C. In this sentence, put on jacket should modify the word people. In the original sentence, put on jacket modifies the roof. The roof cannot put on a jacket. Choice B is incorrect because it does not change the sentence. It just drops the comma. Choice D is wrong because changing the comma to a semicolon doesn't fix the dangling modifier and it creates a fragment. C is the correct choice. Let's review Model ACT Question 2. The phrase which bounce modifies the noun ball. Choice F needs to be corrected because the bounce modifies the building. Choice G is incorrect because bounce incorrectly modifies boy. Choice H is erroneous for the same reason. J is the correct answer. The